All right. So as you were learning, what kind of things did you pick up first, and what kind of things are you studying now?
Okay, so I started working with Sarah once or twice a week for 3 hours per session, and she taught me how to meditate. And she taught me a lot about prehistory to give me a foundation for everything that came later. She also had me go work with different groups like shamans, a Wicca group, and there was a lot of learning to meditate and learning about my chakras, learning about my energy system, and learning how to run my energy and learning to determine whether or not something is true or something that I can count on, some kind of information that came through that was true versus just my imagination. And ever since that time, I've continued to learn. I spent about 2 years with her, and then she said, it's time for, the baby bird to leave the nest, so go off and good luck. And in that time, I continue to learn everything that I can about metaphysics. Since retiring, I'm able to give a lot more time to that. And so the things that I learn about now are more of an extension. I'm learning a lot about astrology, astronomy, quantum physics, quantum everything, as well as the arts and history. So those are the things that I'm working on today to make me better.
Okay. And how is it that you can develop that? Like, is it something you have to be born with, or is it something that you can kind of grow and learn about and anyone can get into, or is this kind of a specific calling?
Everyone has the ability. It's like our sixth sense. So if you're a person that exercises a lot and you're really muscular and buff, then you've worked your body a lot. And psychic work is a lot like that, except you're developing your psychic intuition. So the more you work on that, just like a muscle, it becomes bigger and more useful.
And do you have any tips on things that someone can do to start growing their intuition or start learning how to kind of tap into these things?
There's lots of things that you can do. I would say if you're a beginner, then there's 4 things that I would keep in mind. And this is the beginning of everything that I teach. And it always comes back to these 4 things. I call them my 4 important key points. And number 1 is intention. You have to know what your intention is, because your intention is going to determine the path forward. If your intention is to help other people to grow spiritually or evolve in some way, that's what we call coming from a place of the highest good or light. But sometimes, and an issue that could exist with some psychics, is their intention is not that. Their intention might be to manipulate or to take advantage or just to make money in some way. So knowing your intention and always coming back to that and reflecting upon it is super important. The next thing that is really key is there's 2 main emotions. There's love and fear that drives us developing our intuition. If we're coming from a place of love, then our experience tends to be positive. We grow, we expand, and so on. If we're coming from a place of fear, it kind of keeps us stuck. We can't really evolve. We can't really tap into spirituality or connecting with the other side if we're coming from a place of fear. So love and fear are something that we have to consider all the time.
So you don't want to go into it like if you're struggling with something or dealing with an immediate problem and you're trying to fix that immediate problem. It's probably not the best mindset to be in. You want to be clear-headed and go in with positivity instead.
So I might do a reading on someone that has a lot of fear, but as far as them developing their intuition, if they're fearful, it's like it just puts a roadblock in the way. With that said, I can't do a reading on anybody who is super fearful or who has an attitude of, oh, show me. If you think you're psychic, then tell me, when am I going to get married? How many kids am I going to have? Whenever there's that attitude that comes out, it's usually based in fear, and it puts up a block in such a way that I really can't do a reading for that person.
Right.
The third thing that I would offer to people that's really important is called open up your heart, mind, and lungs. Open up your heart means you are receptive to other ideas and energies. Opening up your mind is another way of saying you're opening up your consciousness, and you're open to the idea of learning new things. And lungs just refers to that as we learn how to meditate, we're always working on breathing, because learning to control our breath and learning to hone into that space after an inhale, before an exhale, is kind of a starting off point for connecting with spirit or the other side. And so opening your heart, mind, and lungs is something to keep in mind, and it's something we're always learning new techniques for. And then the last thing that I encourage people to understand when they want to develop their intuitive is signs, symbols, and synchronicity. Signs, because signs and symbols are universal. For example, a rose. A rose is the universal symbol for love. Whether you're in the middle of Egypt or Sacramento, a rose means love. Symbols are going to come up over and over again as a guidepost. For example, when we do tarot cards, they're full of symbols, and those symbols mean something, and what they mean is universal. So learning to read signs and symbols helps us to develop our intuition and to become more certain in what we receive. And then synchronicity is really important. I think that's happening to you a little bit, Mike, because synchronicity is when you say, okay, I'm opening up my mind, I'm opening up my heart, I'm ready to learn new things. And you start to pay attention to what you encounter, the words that you speak, or how people speak to you, and you start to see synchronicity happening. For example, about a year ago when I said, when I realized that I need to put myself out there and help more, I remember standing on the cliff saying, okay, Spirit, Universe, I am opening up my mind. Show me what it is that you want me to do next. I'm open to other ways of thinking and being. And as soon as I said that, there was a shift in everything. And good things started to happen. There's all things I can say about that. But this willingness to pay attention and open yourself up, pay attention to signs and symbols, lead to synchronicity. Pretty soon, I met someone that wanted to do a show together, and then I met you, and you've been really helpful, and then little things have happened to you that are beneficial. So synchronicity means that we're on the right path, and the universe is giving us symbols and signs to pay attention to so that we keep meeting the right people or encountering the right things to get us to the next place.